In a Florida county with 1.5 million residents and growing, at the site of one of the most beloved international airports by travelers, home of the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this location for the Hillsborough County Tax Collector's Office, lies a piece of forgotten history. Before it was all this, it started as just a field that turned into a vital base for the U.S. military and an economic driver for Tampa Bay. This is the story of Drew Field.
Bomb doors open. Hello, Bombardier. Okay when you are. Bomb doors open. Bomb doors open, Bombardier. Right. Steady. Steady. Bomb's going in a minute. Hey, Jimmy, straight to behind us. Bomb steady, man. Where is he, rear gunner? Can you see him? Down! Down! He's chopped down. Did you shoot him down? Yeah, he's got him, boy, right in the middle.
In the early 1920s, America was just realizing that not only was flight by plane here to stay, but it was the future. John H. Drew, a contractor and developer, along with Hugh C. McFarland, known as the Cigar King of West Tampa, decided to buy land west of Tampa and build a private landing strip. It wasn't long after that Hillsborough County officials decided the area needed an airfield.
Drew Field was just a field cow pasture. They'd use it for quail hunting. It was basically a big field that had been cleared out. I think by 26, 25, they leased the land from John Drew, who owned all the land in that area where Horizon Park and the stadium is. He owned all of that. And then he leased it to the Hillsborough County, and then Hillsborough County leased it to the government. You know, they looked at renaming it several times, and they just stuck with that. So that's how you get Drew Park. It included what's Tampa International and what is Drew Park.
With the prospect of war looming overseas, the U.S. government leased the field as a sub-post to MacDill Army Airfield.
What happened in 1925, one of the Florida representatives decided that, hey, with this new airplane thing, we should have a base in each corner to protect us, so of the continental United States. And so they wanted one in the southeast. Well, they decided, okay, where are we going to put it? Well, they liked it being near Tampa. There was already an airfield in Arcadia that had been there since World War I. But there was no train, there was no education or schools for the kids of the people that were stationed here. There was no shipping facility. So they wanted this area. So that's how it came to be here. Drew Field was a civilian airport, not really being used at the time. They brought airplanes in. They actually decided they were going to build MacDill. They started building MacDill. It was growing so fast, even before we actually entered World War II on December 7th, or December 8th, I guess it was, we actually did. They already knew it was coming.
Money and resources came pouring into Tampa Bay as MacDill Air Force Base was built. A lot of that came to Drew Field. It too became a strategic location for the U.S. during World War II. Drew Field would play host to numerous fighter, bomber, and training squadrons.
Everything kept growing through the war. It was expanding. MacDill's have one hangar, and then 3, and then 5, and next thing you know, they wanted more. So after the flying crews, they finished the runways at MacDill, they moved them over there and said, okay, this is its own Air Force or Army Air Base now. And it was actually bigger than MacDill at one time.
At its peak, Drew encompassed 15 square miles and was home to more than 25,000 military and civilian personnel, all of them looking to the east, hoping the war would not land on American soil.
Probably about 42 to 45, it was nonstop. They were teaching radar out here, air warning, how you would have these mobile radar sites to track incoming bombers. And like I said, they didn't know what we know now. They were thinking we were going to get invaded, just like Europe was being invaded. And the biggest fear was we would be attacked by air, or they'd land, come over in ships. So they were preparing. One of the reasons that Drew and MacDill and Hillsborough were built here, they wanted something in the southeast of the United States, but they didn't want it right on the East Coast because that's where the threat was going to come in.
The base was even host to an anti-submarine unit that flew reconnaissance missions over the Gulf of Mexico looking for Nazi U-boats.
Their contribution was incredible because if you remember, look at history, the real estate bust of the late 20s and the Great Depression, Tampa was still suffering from that. So there was so many benefits. There was just very few negatives to it, between the civilian population, that they all had jobs. People were moving into the area, that it was pumping huge amounts of money into the economy from all the business everywhere around here. This place was saturated. I mean, it was unbelievable when you see the pictures downtown on the weekends. Everybody had to be in uniform. It was a sea of uniforms. A lot of civilians got involved in the war effort too. They had classes at Hillsborough High School and Plant High were teaching how to handle incendiary bombs in the evenings for people that were on the emergency crews.
During this time, Drew Airfield saw all types of aircraft coming in and out.
There were a lot of fighters and attack aircraft. There was a lot of training done for dive bombers. Most people seeing in World War II, they think of the German dive bombers. Well, the United States, that seemed to work for them in Spain. So they were trying that. And that's where the aircraft that it's going to be on display there it's referred to as a Mustang. Even the guys that know Mustangs inside out call it a Mustang. It's actually an A-36 Apache. And it was built with dive brakes to be a dive bomber. And then they also had the A-25, which is an Army version of the Dauntless dive bomber. So they had them both learning dive bombing techniques.
Drew Field was even known to host some celebrities.
Celebrities, as far as the aircraft, the Memphis Belle was here for a short time in 1945. Luckily, this was one of the last military bases of that till it went out to be surplused after the war, and then it got saved by Memphis, Tennessee, and now it's in the museum. It's recently been restored, so it's kind of neat that there's a Drew airplane sitting at the National Air Force Museum.
Finally, September 2nd, 1945 arrived, the end of World War II. While they continued to be used as a training base for the military for some time after, the federal government returned Drew Airfield to the city of Tampa for civil use as Drew Field Municipal Airport. In 1950, it became Tampa International Airport. Other parts of Old Drew Field were divided up. In 1949, the federal government sold the city of Tampa an undeveloped 720-acre parcel on the eastern edge of Drew Field. It became Al Lopez Field and Tampa Stadium. Later, it would become the current home of Raymond James Stadium and Steinbrenner Field. Drew Park, as it's now known, is home to two of Tampa's most notable institutions, Hillsborough Community College and Steinbrenner Field. Its mixed-use zoning, while popular with residents, has led to an eclectic mix of industrial, commercial, and residential development. In 2015, the Hillsborough County Tax Collector's Office was proud to be a part of Drew Park with a new office space that continues to serve the residents of Hillsborough County.
If you look at the sidewalks around Drew Field, there's actually emblems put right into the sidewalks. What the tax office has done, there's a lot of things, historical markers. There's one right across from the stadium there now, and there never was anything. There's entrances off Drew Field where it says Drew Park's got a big propeller on it. So it's nice to start to see that recognized, because literally that's, like I said, other than the railroad, the Army Air Force is being here. We've never looked back since it changed. We're still seeing the benefits.
We hope you enjoyed this look at the history of Drew Field, now known as Drew Park. The importance of this airfield cannot be overlooked, nor can the men and women of Drew Field who served our nation during a time of war. We continue to honor them and their sacrifices. We hope this artwork flying in the front of our Drew Park office will memorialize them and the place they called home more than 60 years ago.